Welcome to Voices of Indianapolis, where we explore the narratives of innovators, collaborators, and communicators shaping our city. I'm Jeff Edge, your host on this journey. Join us as we uncover their strengths, glean insights into their views of Indianapolis, and unravel the qualities that make them exemplary role models. Through candid conversations, we aim to illuminate their impactful projects, collaborations, and communication efforts that are propelling our community forward. Together, we'll celebrate these influencers, fostering inspiration and dialogue to forge a stronger, more united Indianapolis.
Well, my name is Emily. I am the Marketing and Communications Manager at Second Helpings. So it took 5 minutes to drive over here, so we were really close, just off of East Washington Street. But we are a nonprofit in Indianapolis that is all about food. So we rescue more than 3 million pounds of food every year from like grocery stores, wholesalers, restaurants, all kinds of places, just food that they don't have enough room for. So we bring it back to our facility where we have a really big kitchen, and we use our staff and volunteers to make delicious, healthy meals with that food and then deliver it to about 100 different organizations across town. So like a Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, senior centers, homeless shelters, all kinds of places who are serving people who might need a meal today. We also have a culinary job training program that's geared towards adults who are either unemployed or are looking for training that they need to work in the culinary industry. So we train those students for careers in that field. So my job as the marketing person is to get to tell those stories everywhere. So we, manage our website, social media, videos, media, all kinds of things. So it provides lots of variety. But this is my first podcast interview, so I'm very excited.
What do you think is your biggest goal right now?
My biggest goal? That's such a good question. I think my biggest goal at work right now is to find opportunities to think bigger. We have a lot of moving deadlines, and so sometimes you don't get a chance to look at like what are our plans for the whole year at once. Sometimes it can be hard to look at the bigger picture because you have so many things that are due today. That feels kind of like school, and I can't think about what I want to do next year if I'm trying to get all my homework done that's due tomorrow. So I have been trying to find ways this year to make time for myself to think about kind of what is our marketing strategy for 2024, or what are some big things that we've always wanted to do, but maybe we just haven't done a good job of making it a priority or putting time on the calendar.
What do you think your hardest problem in places like college was?
Personally, my challenge in college?
We love talking about college.
Oh, boy. Okay. Let's see. So I went to a small liberal arts college called Transylvania University in Lexington, Kentucky. So that's about 3 hours from here, and I'm originally from Kentucky. And I think about halfway through my time in college, I realized that I had taken on too much, that I was overcommitted. In college, there are so many opportunities to get involved. There are so many different clubs or activities or interesting classes and social opportunities and internships and part-time jobs. And I realized as I was planning my schedule for the next year that it physically wasn't possible to do all the things that I was interested in doing. And so that kind of forces you to make a hard choice of these. All of these things sound fun, but if I want to have time to still have fun, and spend time with your friends and get good sleep and get your homework done, I can't be in every single club, or I can't do every single opportunity that's available. So I think that was really hard to realize, that I couldn't do everything I wanted to do. And then it can be a hard decision to decide, okay, if I can only commit to 2 things this year, what are those 2 things going to be, So I think that was really hard to realize. Hey, you can't do it all, or at least you can't do it all and still stay organized and have enough sleep and feel good about your schedule. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's a good question.
What's the biggest thing you learned after this specific job?
that I've learned from this job. Let's see. I think I have learned from this job that for me, I'm a much better communicator when I feel really connected to the work that we're doing. So at Second Helpings, my job is I sit in front of a computer at a desk for a lot of the day, but I'm just down the hallway from where 5,000 meals a day are being made. So if I feel like my piece of the puzzle feels disconnected from the real work that we're doing making the meals, I can spend an afternoon making sandwiches, or I can go take a tour of somewhere that maybe we deliver meals to, or I could go visit a graduate of our culinary program, at the restaurant they're working at now. And I've learned that makes my job more fun, but that also makes me feel more connected to what we're doing. And I think I'm a better communicator when first of all, when I know what I'm talking about. I say that all the time. But then if I can feel really connected and really passionate about it, I know my writing's going to be better. I know that I'm going to work harder because I can feel reminded about why it's important that everybody knows about Second Helpings, because we're helping people like a student that I can meet, or that we're providing meals to a place I can take a tour of. So I remember feeling like that as a student too. When if you have a project, like you can write your paper about anything and you get to pick your topic. If you pick a topic that you're really fascinated by, you don't mind as much having to spend all day doing research because you're genuinely interested in it. But if you get assigned a topic that you don't really care about, it's really hard to be motivated to do your best work. So I think I have learned that in order for me to do my best work, I have to find ways to stay really connected and curious and excited about what we're doing.
Thank you.
Do you feel like your childhood and your college and high school teenage experiences have led to your career now?
Oh my gosh, you guys are asking good, really deep questions. I love it.
You've gotten very good at this.
Man, I was ready to talk about Second Helpings. I did not know to prepare to be ready to talk about my childhood. I love it. That's a really good question. I think it did. So both of my parents worked in what I would call like very service-oriented jobs. So my mom was a kindergarten teacher, and my dad was a minister. And so we were always in our free time at one of those two places, helping like cut out, laminated things to go on like a kindergarten bulletin board, or helping at a school event, or definitely at the church all the time, not, several days a week, setting up for events or waiting around till meetings were over. But that was my model for jobs. Those were the two jobs that I knew about, and both I feel like they were able to connect a passion that they had with a career. And so that was something that I knew I always really wanted. Kind of what I said earlier, like it's a lot easier to work hard and to be motivated and feel like that's a better use of all of your time that you'll be spending at work when you're really passionate about what you're doing. And so I knew as I was going through school, I don't know if I knew this at the time, maybe it was kind of subconscious, but I think I was looking for a way to do kind of what my parents did, like find a way to match the passion that you have, the skills that you have, and find a way to pay your bills, combining those. Like, what's a job that allows me to do something that I know I'm good at, that I like doing, for a cause that I'm really passionate about. And I think that over time led me to wanting to do marketing for nonprofits, which is what I'm doing. So I loved English and writing. I did speech and debate in school. I liked public speaking and communications and that sort of thing. But I didn't want to be a politician or public speaking as a job, and I loved like volunteering and doing kind of those sorts of things in school, or helping with, things at our church. And I didn't know that I only thought about nonprofits as like a thing to volunteer at to get service hours after school. I didn't know that was a job, but when I realized that like I could use, like, that's something that I knew I was good at in school and that I enjoyed the most, the writing and the speaking, the organization, that sort of thing, you could do that for a lot of things. You could do sales, you could do communications or marketing for any kind of company. But when I realized I could use those skills to talk about an organization that I'm passionate about, that felt like, oh, I wouldn't mind doing that for a whole career. That feels like a great way to spend my time. So I don't know that I knew as a kid that that's what I was looking for. But I think kind of over time through watching my parents in challenging but definitely rewarding jobs, and then also trying to balance what I want to do, what sounds fun and meaningful, with what I know how to do, what I think I'm good at, what I can enjoy. So it feels really lucky to find a job or a career that kind of brings all those things together.
Since you say that you go and do tours, when they're taking the food, do you go along too?
I can. I've done that a few times and kind of tag along with one of our delivery drivers. And that's we have several people on our staff. That's their whole job. They drive around town every day, and they'll have a list of maybe 5 or 6 organizations in central Indiana that they deliver meals to. So I have gone with them a couple times just to see where we go and those are fun things to like take pictures of for our social media. And then it's fun to get to meet the people who are going to eat our food. You know, Second Helpings doesn't serve a meal at our organization. We're kind of in the middle between who has the food and who needs the food. So I think it is really interesting to see where the food is going, and it's fun to go somewhere and everybody's excited that we're coming in because they are looking forward to lunch. Or usually when we go somewhere, they'll make some requests on next time. We would love, we get a lot of requests for like chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. But yeah, I think it's really fun to connect the dots for me to see where all the food is going.
Since you write information on it,
Mm-hmm.
have you taken a time when you went there and have just like seen all these people happy and you just wrote about that?
Yes, that's my favorite thing to write. I love going somewhere where I'm interviewing somebody to say, tell me about your food pantry and how you started it and why why you've seen this need in your community, and what does the food from Second Helpings allow you to be able to do? Sometimes organizations will say, we used to have a budget for food, but our organization has faced some budget challenges and we don't have that in our budget anymore. So if you couldn't provide the food, we wouldn't be able to serve lunch. Or they might say, because we found Second Helpings, we can now use that money in our budget for something else. So I really like going to interview people like that. And a lot of times if I leave feeling excited to start writing right away. So I know something's going to be good if I feel excited to work on it. But I think our audiences really like to see those dots connected to see, I know you make food, but where does the food go? So I think that's really an important part of my job of helping connect the dots for people. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so the people that you bring food to, has anybody that you've donated to come to volunteer?
Yeah. That feels really special when we meet someone and we ask, how did you hear about Second Helpings? And they say, because I have your food for lunch every day. Or maybe when they were growing up somewhere, an after school program that they went to, or where their family was living, they got our food and that's how they heard about it. So we've definitely had people that hear about us that way, and maybe they now have a schedule where they have some time to volunteer and they're really motivated to want to kind of pay that forward and make food for someone else who might need it. We've also had students that come to our culinary job training program who have, at an earlier point in their life, been living somewhere that we deliver meals to. So it's really cool to kind of see that kind of full circle moment, or seeing people that are coming in to volunteer because they want to be a part of it, but maybe they can't afford to make a financial donation, but they can afford a couple hours in the afternoon to volunteer. So it's really cool to see all the different ways that people can contribute to our mission.
Okay, so when Second Helpings was beginning, were you there right from the beginning, or did you kind of like jump in at some point?
That's a good question. So last year, Second Helpings celebrated our 25th anniversary. So we were founded in 1998. So I was not there at the beginning. I started working at Second Helpings in 2020. So kind of that's a weird time to start a new job. All my interviews are like over Zoom because that was right at the beginning of the pandemic. So I've been working there for almost 4 years of the 25. Yeah.
When you started, did you go right into interviewing and typing up information, or did you start with cooking the food?
Oh, that's a great question. So everybody that starts a job at Second Helpings, part of our like new employee orientation includes some volunteer shifts. So on my first day as the marketing manager, I made sandwiches. And that's what I did all day. Was a great way to meet other volunteers and really see up close what we're doing and why we needed more people to help because there were so many meals that needed to be made. So yeah, everybody that starts working at Second Helpings during their first month will kind of do several different roles with volunteers. I think that helps you learn your way around the building and learn all the things the organization does as you're getting settled. So.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great.
I wanted to learn a little bit more about the Culinary Job Training Program.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So that is a free 7-week training program that we offer. It's geared towards adults who are unemployed or underemployed. But that's, we have students who are working while they're in the program, but that can just be time management wise really hard to do. So the class is like 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday for 7 weeks. And there's homework and there are exams and there's a textbook and it can be, it's not for everybody, right? Can be a really rigorous program. But we have 2 chef instructors that teach the program. And so in the classroom, they'll learn, their textbook will have things like converting a recipe or doing the conversions of like teaspoons to tablespoons, or this recipe makes 4 servings, but what math would you need to do to make this recipe for the whole school cafeteria for 20 people? And then we also prioritize in the classroom the kind of durable skills that I definitely was not taught in school, but we all would have been better off if we had learned that kind of stuff. So like every student will have their resume put together, like that's a homework assignment, and we do practice interviews. We have a bank come in to talk about financial literacy, to kind of workplace behavior, how to read your paycheck, those sorts of just like durable, like adult skills, We take a lot of field trips to get to see different kinds of kitchens at different kinds of places. So we go to a lot of restaurants, but then places that I would have never thought about, like Eskenazi Health, like hospitals and schools serve a lot of food. The zoo serves a lot of food, hotels, catering companies, event centers, Lucas Oil Stadium. Like there are all kinds of places in Indianapolis that are serving food and that are hiring cooks that might not be restaurants. So I think that's a fun piece of what they do. And then we also have a kitchen because you can't just learn how to cook from reading a book. So they are practicing cooking a lot. And sometimes they're making food for the whole building. And so you get real-time feedback from everybody on how you're doing. But we really want students to be prepared for what working in a kitchen is going to be like. And that is a fast-paced, can be a stressful environment when orders are coming in one after the other and everything needs to be ready at the right time, the right temperature, look beautiful. So you're definitely will learn, teamwork and effective communication and kitchen safety, when you're working in that environment. So we've had, since 1998, more than 1,000 students have graduated from that program. And that is really cool to think about, like 1,000 people and really 1,000 families who have hopefully, been set up for success with a a career with lots of opportunities. We had a graduation ceremony this morning for a culinary class 159. So we had a graduation ceremony for them today and announced, awards for the highest score on the knife skills test or the highest score for the best soup. And then, they get their diplomas and they get those tall white chef hats. That's what they get instead of the high school diploma. So that's always, the best day of the month when it's a graduation day. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Reading the little blurb that's behind you, it says that you help unemployed and underemployed adults. Would that also apply to people like ex-convicts and people who might have difficulty finding jobs outside after prison? Does that also apply to them in that underemployed and unemployed section?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So short answer is yes, that everyone's invited to participate in the program. So I've heard some members of our team describe this program as felony friendly, that there aren't kind of criminal backgrounds that might be a barrier to participating. So we may ask about anything that's in their background just so that we're aware, and if there are things that we can either help with, if they're having challenges in the justice system that we can help them navigate, or if it's just something we need to know, I'm interested, but I have these court dates coming up that I can't miss. We can work class around that because it's, can be important that you meet any sort of requirements like that. But we also have an employment specialist on our staff who works with students and graduates, even people, if you graduated 25 years ago and want to come back for employment help, we can do that. And so she is really great at getting to know employers, and she'll know requirements. If there's an employer that has a background check as part of their process that might pose a barrier to one of our students, we can, connect them with employers who we know will be the best fit for them. So if we know that this person is going to have a challenge with how strict maybe, a school or a hospital's background check might be, and we know that will be a challenge, then let's not have them spend all their time applying for that job and practicing for that interview. Let's focus our efforts and our time on places that we know will be a great fit for what you're looking for.
How long has Second Helpings been around, and how long have you been in Second Helpings?
Sure. So Second Helpings was founded in 1998. So last year, 2023, we reached our 25th anniversary. So we're starting year 26, and I've been there for about 4 years. I started working there in 2020.
Throughout the time you have worked there, or what you would know, has Second Helpings ever considered branching out into high school students, people below the age of 18?
I love that question. So our culinary job training program is for 18 and older, who are, it's not required that you have a diploma, but, it's operating during school time. So if you're in school, you couldn't do both at the same time. There are lots of volunteer opportunities for almost all ages. So for a lot of our roles in the kitchen, it makes sense to kind of have 16 and older, where you might be working with knives or kind of heavy, hot pots of food that we wouldn't want to set up, an elementary school group with. But we have youth groups or schools or families or a scout troop that can come in the evenings or on Tuesday evenings or Saturday mornings, and we just might have different tasks ready for them. So we might not have, first graders using knives and chopping vegetables, but they could help us label meals or, have a big tub of spaghetti and measure out, boxes of 50 pounds at a time. Or if we have a big pasta drive come in, sort, spaghetti in this pile and macaroni in this pile. So we always try to find ways that, whatever age you are, if you're motivated and willing to help out in what we do, we will find, a project or a task that is a good fit for you.
Do you know which agency or community Second Helpings works with the most?
That's a good question. You guys are really quizzing me. I love it. I can think of a few that I know are at the top, but if I say I don't know who is like number one most meals of all time, but I think some of our biggest ones are Wheeler Mission, that's right downtown. They have several programs that we provide meals to. The Urban League, we work with a lot. They have started, we've worked with them for a long time, but during the pandemic, they started like a drive-through meal distribution that they've kept going, since 2020. And the last I can remember is, every week for the Urban League, we're making probably 800 meals just for that organization. They're really close to the IUPUI campus, and I've been there during a meal distribution, and you can see just lines of cars wrapped around, and they have a really efficient process that's really collaborative of lots of other organizations. So a family will come through in their car and they'll say how many people live there, and they'll give them that many Second Helpings meals, but they'll also give them a box of produce and pantry products from Gleaners, and they might also have had other things donated from a grocery store, or maybe when it's back to school time, they might have some school supplies if they have kids in their family. So that's a really amazing program. We have a lot of organizations that have multiple locations. Like we deliver meals and food to several city parks, several boys and girls clubs throughout the city. But those are, I think, some of the biggest ones that we work with. But we have about 100 throughout the year that we'll deliver food to. So it's a long list.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What would you say the values of that company are, and how would you as a person describe working with something that big to get those values out into the world? How would you describe that feeling?
My gosh, you guys are good. These are really hard questions, but in a good way. So a lot of organizations, but definitely Second Helpings, we have an official list of organizational values, on our website. I do not have all of them memorized, but some of the ones that I think stand out to me / the ones that I can remember, safety is our top priority across everything we do in the building. And part of that is food safety. Food needs to be kept at the right temperature. We need to make sure that it was cooked properly so that we're not sending out all of these meals that make people sick. But then as part of our food rescue program, we have an active warehouse. So we have people driving vans and trucks. We have people driving forklifts. We have a lot of heavy food and equipment, so just all kinds of safety. And I definitely saw that as a priority throughout the pandemic. Like I said, I started working at Second Helpings in 2020. So, I didn't see a lot of my coworkers full face for several months because we were all wearing masks, or we're in the office and working from home on different days just to stay, spread out and safe. So safety is one that, as a person, as an employee, I was really glad to work somewhere that valued safety so much, especially during the pandemic, because I always felt safe to go to work. And I always felt like information during the pandemic was changing all the time. And so I really appreciated that our leadership team at Second Helpings was always making sure that we knew what safety precautions we needed to take, around masking or social distancing or vaccines, all of those things that helped me feel really safe as an individual. I think some of the other values, to kind of try to answer the second part of your question, one of those that jumps out to me is collaboration. That's a really important value of Second Helpings, and that's one of my favorite things about nonprofits in general, that sometimes when I give a tour of the building, someone will say, so are you guys like Gleaners or are you competition? And I don't know if any of you have heard of Second Helpings before today, or if you've heard of Gleaners before today, but sometimes people might assume we're competing. Or that organizations that all serve kids are competing to serve the same kids or something. But I've always seen nonprofits be very collaborative because we share a similar goal to make sure that anyone who's hungry can get the food they need, to live a healthier life. So Second Helpings or Gleaners may be a better fit for a certain organization or family based on what they're looking for, but we found a lot of ways to work together to kind of achieve those goals. So, and we have a lot of volunteers that I know volunteer maybe at Second Helpings on Tuesdays and Gleaners on Fridays. So that, I think, is a value that I also value. And then as the marketing person, those are really fun stories to tell because I think people assume that we're in competition. So it is cool to be able to tell a story about, here's a project that Gleaners and Second Helpings and the City of Indianapolis and Midwest Food Bank and all of these other organizations all came together to work on because it's that important. And so I think the public likes to see examples of people and organizations working together to make it feel less competitive.
Let's take a moment to thank our amazing sponsor, Paradigm Games, for this episode, your ultimate destination for tabletop gaming excitement, conveniently located at 2479 North Meridian Street, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46208. But wait, that's not all, folks. Paradigm Games is not just your average game store. They are the proud hosts of the Wednesday Lorcana League Nights, where the action starts at 6:30 p.m. For just $10, you'll get a spot on the sheet and a booster pack to jump into the thrilling world of Lorcana. Plus, you'll be battling it out for monthly promos that'll leave you hungry for more. But wait, Paradigm Games has something special for all you Pokemon enthusiasts out there. Join them every Sunday from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. for Pokemon League. And the best part? It's completely free. Gather your best decks, trade cards, and meet fellow trainers in the ultimate showdown. So whether you're a board game fanatic or a Pokemon trainer, Paradigm Games is your go-to destination for gaming fun in Indianapolis. Support our sponsor because they support your passion. Okay, I'm back with Second Helpings, Emily Martin. Emily, thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
How did it feel getting interviewed by 15-year-olds?
I'm still sweating. It was amazing. I mean, I came in ready to talk about Second Helpings, and by the end of it, we were talking about my childhood. And I mean, I was so impressed with the questions they asked, but it did make me a little nervous.
It was a job interview.
Honestly.
What was the most interesting question?
I think my favorite question was, how did your childhood and kind of every stage of your life lead you to where you are now? Like, that just felt like such a big question. You know, they ask good questions like, what's the hardest part of your job? Or I love that they were asking about what are Second Helpings values and how do you as a person feel about,
oh my gosh.
How do they think of this stuff? It was amazing.
Okay, we were just talking before I recorded that I told the kids everybody eventually works in culinary services. Like, everyone works in a restaurant eventually. At some point, and so you have to have knife skills. You have to know how to chop. Everybody has to know how to chop an onion.
Totally.
At some point in their life.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this, you've either already chopped an onion and that was your job, or you're going to chop an onion, and so you need to do that. You don't have to give summaries or anything, but when you think about maybe right out of college or even during college, were there certain careers that you did? So like for me, it was I worked in culinaries during high school and college, then retail, right? Sports Authority, I worked there, then teaching, and now like advisory principal work, I guess. And so that's basically the careers I was involved in. What would your career trajectory be?
I did a lot of babysitting. Okay. I probably started doing that in middle school. I mentioned in the interview with the students, my dad was a minister, so I worked as a summer secretary at the church a few
Organizing
summers.
Skills, accounting.
Absolutely, making the bulletin, using a folding machine, just kind of office stuff. I never worked in a kitchen. I worked in more retail jobs.
You just made me a liar to
the
kids.
That's okay.
Well, you do now. You're Second Helping.
Yes,
so that counts.
I have learned so much about cooking since I think I am a better cook at home because I work there, even though my job is not in the kitchen. But just being around chefs all the time, or volunteering in the kitchen, you're gonna learn how to chop a pepper, or an onion, or
Can you just chop this for a second? I gotta go somewhere.
Right. I always tell volunteer groups when they come in, like if they're doing produce chopping, it might be the same produce for that whole shift. So I always say, like, I hope whatever you're chopping today was not like what you were planning to have for dinner, because you might be a little tired of it, but you'll be an expert at cutting it, you know?
You just gave me a fierce wondering, because I always work with automation and education and AI.
Okay.
And we always talk about, because as an advisor for kids going to college, you do play that game of what jobs are going to get consumed by AI.
Totally.
And people talk about trucking, and I tell people trucking's not going anywhere for a long time. There's that AI's not coming to get that yet.
Yeah.
I just realized AI's not coming to take our pepper cutting jobs.
That's interesting.
You can't.
Yeah.
AI's not cutting peppers anytime soon.
I definitely would not feel comfortable handing, a knife to
Yeah.
AI anytime soon, and definitely, even if there are pieces of cooking that could be automated, I certainly don't think the whole path from ingredient to plate could be, because we got to taste it.
Yeah.
We tell volunteers
That's
that all the
true.
time, when, we have these, when you were there, you saw in the kitchen, like those giant, like metal boxes.
Yes.
The tilt
I did.
skillets, those are like our pots and pans. It's like a giant crock pot
Oh,
that just
wow.
serves like hundreds of servings at a time. And so volunteers that are, putting all the ingredients in, and like instead of a ladle, it looks like a canoe oar or something that they're like stirring.
Wow.
And
I
so
think I saw a picture of that.
yeah,
online,
that's a really fun volunteer role, but we always encourage volunteers. Like, taste testing is a critical part of the process, because if we're
Yeah.
making 500 meals, we know it will have the nutrition and we know how many servings we're making. But if no one stopped to taste it to make sure, like, did it need more salt? Is it too salty? Is the sauce too watery or thin?
Happens on Top Chef all the time.
Right, and we send out all these meals and they're not delicious, and someone doesn't want to clean their plate, then they're not getting all the nutrition we worked so hard to chop up,
Where on earth do you buy these gigantic pots like that? Because that's not Amazon. That's not
have
not
no
Walmart.
idea.
Where on earth would you buy
I'm
something that
sure
large?
we are connected with kind of wherever restaurants order equipment, kind of like a wholesaler for restaurants or something. I don't know.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a whole service
Yeah.
in itself.
But it's definitely not something that, like, oh, one's out today, we'll order one, it'll be here tomorrow. Like, that can be a challenge if, kitchen equipment can be finicky, Yeah.
So have you found in your career, you mentioned babysitting and some of those earlier jobs, in what ways do those skills show up in your current career?
Sure, that's a good question.
Because people don't often think about that. I think it was Robin Williams, the stand-up comedian, said,
Yeah.
he goes, stand-up comedy is the one area where you truly use everything you have. And I feel that that's more things, right? Like, you find that those little silly jobs that you did where you were getting paid minimum wage, those skills you learned always come back to you in one way or
Fascinating.
another.
Yeah.
They might not make you a millionaire, but they get
But
you
you'll put them to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
babysitting.
Babysitting in retail, like the first jobs, I think everybody needs to learn how to work well with other people.
Yes.
Whether it's a customer service and dealing with someone who's like mad about something, and there's only so much you can actually do, but you want to
Sure.
make them leave
Powerless.
having a good experience. I'm trying to think.
And you can't just hang up on a screaming customer either.
Right,
or
especially if you're
get
like
fired.
at the cash register, like they're in person,
Please stop yelling at me.
Yeah. I think babysitting,
Was there a skill that you didn't have before babysitting that you attained and said, wow, I've gotten a lot better at this?
that's a really good question. I mean, I'm going to talk through it, and I think we'll get to
Please,
an answer.
please.
Yeah.
I'll talk to it too.
I mean, I think it's somewhere around kind of like priorities and boundaries and setting expectations. And so, like, I babysat for 2 kids in my neighborhood, and like, my responsibilities might be like, yeah, it'd be fun to play games and be silly, but we got to get your homework done, and
Yeah.
I got to feed you, So and I guess I would think of like the kids that I'm playing with, they're not my boss. Like, your mom is my boss. So when she gets home, I'm sure they want to have fun, but kind of sticking to like, oh yeah, it would be
Yeah.
easier to just play. But even if you don't like it, like, we got to get your homework done, and we got to eat something,
You see the value of it on the other side of the job, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes I have students who hate math and struggle doing math. I have them tutor, and they'll tell you straight up, I hate math. Math is horrible.
Yep.
And then they go tutor a younger kid, and that kid will say it, and they go, no, you need to learn this. And I always laugh because I say, what's the difference between them and you, brother? You don't do
You
it
gotta
either.
learn it too,
He goes,
yeah.
Well, now I know. Now I see what you were saying the whole time. And they don't actually say that. They just go, I don't know. But I can
But
see.
you can see it in their eyes.
I can see.
Yeah.
Oh, you're starting to sound like me now. You're on the other side of the fence, fella.
I tutor with Bright Lane Learning every
Okay.
Wednesday, and I hear kids say that about reading a lot. You know, you can just see. I work with 2 second graders mostly, and you can just see their frustration when like they don't know a word.
Sure.
Or you can tell that they're like, I know everybody in my class can read better than me, and you can just kids know when they feel behind, you know, and I can see them feeling frustrated when I look at it. I'm like, oh, that's how you say it, and they're like, oh, how do you know that's so easy? And I'm really trying. I'm like, I only know that word and all of these words because you put in the work, you know, like I've been to school for a long time, and you just have to practice, you know, like reading is practicing, you know, but I don't feel old. I'm 31 and I feel young, but sometimes when I'm like talking to a second grader and they're like, oh my gosh, how do you know that? I'm like, I know I have been reading a lot longer than you have, but you'll get there, you know?
You just have to go to the dictionary and go look up that word. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, that's what I do. There's
Right.
not too many times that I don't see a vocab word and I don't know what it is.
Don't get curious.
Unless I'm reading Ta-Nehisi Coates, because that dude uses some big vocabulary words that, you know, about 4 times a page. I say, well, let me write that one down. I got to go see what that is.
And make one trip
Yeah.
for all of the words.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's still the same.
Yeah.
It's the same strategies that the kids have to do
Yeah,
sometimes.
I will say for things I learned from other jobs, when I was in college, I worked in the admissions office all the way
Interesting.
through, and so I gave tours a couple of times a week, and I loved it. It was so fun, and I knew I wanted to be a tour guide before I knew what college I was going to go to. When I took, you know, when you take all these college visits, I could just feel the tour guides, like, you can feel how excited they are and how much they like where they're going to school.
Sure.
And I remember thinking, I want to like it. That just feels like such a giant decision in your life, what you're going to do after you graduate.
Sure.
And I remember feeling like, I hope I love whatever I do that much, you know? And so I really enjoyed giving tours. And when I remember going to like their career development center and was wanting to apply for jobs, you know, nonprofit communications, and, you know, every job lists, you know, 3 to 5 years experience or
Wow.
that sort of thing. And was just
Every job is at least 3 years.
right.
Hey,
And
I
it
need a
just
one-year
seemed
job.
like, okay, am I wasting my time, or how do I get started? And the person I talked to there said, you have been a nonprofit communicator for the last 4 years. You have been communicating on behalf of this large multi-million-dollar organization every day for 4 years. It wasn't full time, but you were trusted to communicate to people who are thinking about making a giant investment in that organization.
Oh, wow.
And so now, could I list that as, I totally have 4 years of experience on my resume? Maybe not, but that definitely helped like instill some confidence. Like, I'm not starting from zero, you know?
Yeah. One of the biggest skills that I was thinking about the other day, because I just moved and had to clean the garage before we moved out of the apartment, and I picked up a broom and I started pushing that broom to clean the garage, and I just stopped. I like to meditate a lot, and I was thinking, this was the first skill that I think I ever had, like career-wise, was just how do you work a broom, and how many of these kids either don't know how to do it, or they don't see the value in it yet. But going off what you just said, how do you get your foot in the door? How do you start at ground zero? For me, it's like, I'll just go over there and pick up that broom. Hey, we don't need you right now. I know. Okay, I'm gonna pick up this broom and just sweep for you. And then you come in and you sweep the next day, and
I
then
love it.
eventually,
Yeah, like
they're
nothing-
like,
yeah.
all right, man, you want a job?
I love it. Like, don't be afraid to start at the bottom, you know, and work your way.
Just
Work your way up.
If I had to go anywhere right now, if I wanted to go into like, you know, Jeff Bezos' office, I'm like, you need this broom swept there, fella. let me sweep it up for you. He's like, yeah, okay. Hey, I'm not going to give you a job for sweeping up my floor. Oh, I know.
I love it.
But eventually,
Yeah.
he'll ask, well, what are you doing here anyway?
I've heard our chefs at Second Helpings talk about like those durable skills and like attendance as one of the most important skills.
Yeah.
Like any restaurant you go to can teach you, you know, their way to do a certain recipe or whatever,
Oh,
but
wow.
you got to show up and you got to come in with the right attitude and right expectations and everything. So I feel like even if it's for a job that like, I didn't want to be a busboy, I wanted to have this job, like you show up every day and you show that you're committed. I think that really goes a long way in any job, right?
I run a professional wrestling company in
Okay.
in Irvington. It's always fast. You don't meet any. I'm the first professional wrestling owner that you've ever met.
Absolutely.
And so we'll run shows, and we have our wrestlers, and we have our card, and all those things. And there's usually one or two extra wrestlers or referees who just know that we're having the event, and they show up. They say, "Hey, what you doing here?" "Oh, I'm just here in case you got a spot for me," you know. And,
Wow.
and sometimes somebody doesn't show up,
Sure.
or somebody has car trouble,
Yeah.
or somebody gets injured, or somebody can't make it, and then you're like, "Hey, go get that wrestler over there." And there's been a couple people who we ended up, all right, we're going to use them more because
You know, you
they
can
just-
depend on them.
Yeah,
You know,
can
they
depend
show
on 'em,
up every time.
and they showed up and they were good.
I
you know?
love it.
And cooking works the same way.
Yeah, I really like that Second Helpings calls those sorts of skills like durable skills.
I've
'Cause
never
I feel
heard
like
that before.
I feel like I grew up hearing those things as like soft skills. Like communications is a very like soft skill,
Okay.
I guess. But I like a word like durable or like transferable skills because I think soft skills makes it sound like, oh, anybody can do that, or it's just, you know, extra stuff that everybody does. But like those have real value.
Sure.
Yeah, to show up
Okay.
every day, to communicate effectively.
So what's the ability to teach? Like, just I can run a room. I could teach people how to do something. Is that a durable skill?
That's got to be a durable skill, I
Okay.
think, because that's something that is transferable in, you know, as in informal education. But if you're a manager or a shift lead in retail or something, and you're teaching new employees, here's how we do this recipe. Or I worked at American Eagle in the mall, and so like we had to learn like the official way to fold shirts, you know, that sort of thing.
That is an amazing skill that I still use to this day.
Absolutely.
Somebody taught me how to fold shirts working at Sports Authority. I still fold the
Absolutely.
shirts the exact same.
Absolutely.
Are you ready for the Indianapolis 10 as written and developed by Jeff Edge?
Let's do it.
Okay, so these are 10 rapid fire. They can't be rapid fire. Some people like to think about it for an hour. I don't know. We're going to find out how much you love Indianapolis because this is like a love story to Indianapolis, which is
Yeah.
why I reached out to you in the first place, is because
love
there's
it.
all these great places who do great work like Second Helpings in Indianapolis. How many people don't know about it? How many of our kids knew about you until today? Not
Probably zero, maybe. I should have asked. I should have got a show of hands.
I haven't. I heard of Second Helpings, but the Super Bowl is what brought me to the dance.
Yeah,
so I'll be,
that's a great introduction.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be going to the Super Bowl again. I was immediately disappointed when I left. When I said, "Wait a minute, it's called the Super Bowl. Why'd they name it the Super Bowl?" Oh, duh, because the Super Bowl, the actual Super Bowl, is about to happen. And then my heart sank because I go, "Well, that means it's only going to happen once a year."
Yeah. It started in 2012 when Indy hosted the Super Bowl,
Okay.
and we were really involved in the rescuing the food from, you know, all of the events that happen around that. Like we're doing the same thing soon for the NBA All-Star game, but that's where the event came from.
What-
And we've
wait,
just
what's going to happen for the NBA All-Star game? What are you guys doing?
so we will be rescuing all the food that's,
Okay.
I guess we'll say leftover, but you know, it could be concession stuff, but it's going to be a lot of prepared food, you know,
Okay,
from like
fair
the
enough.
convention center, hotels,
Y'all giving that away, or is there going to be an event where I could buy tickets and stuff?
to the All-Star game.
No, to the food that you're going to rescue.
You can come volunteer and help us get it, you know, and help
well,
us
I'm
sort
hungry.
through it. Yeah, I mean, we love those events because that gives us variety that we can send on to partner agencies of different kinds of food. But yeah, prepared food that we might get, like maybe they made, you know, for the media room at the convention center, maybe they made 100 like boxed lunches for people to come pick up.
Sure.
Something like
Oh,
that.
that happens
and
all the time.
Yeah. So it's a lot of prepared food that we're the perfect partner for because we're not a food bank or food pantry where it would like prepared food can't just sit on a shelf. Like we're going to take it and we'll Someone will eat it tomorrow.
So how did Second Helpings land that? Is that a partnership with Lucas Oil then?
That's a great question. So I think we have been involved because all of the places that we'll be rescuing from that they were looking for a partner for, we already work with them. Like we go to Lucas Oil after every Colts game, and we're connected with the all kinds of stuff happens at the convention center. Sure. So one of my colleagues, Nora, who's our senior director of programs, she's been on the planning committee for the All-Star game for the last year to kind of work on how to make the events more sustainable in general. But our piece of it is the food rescue. So all of the food that will be created for all of the celebrity and, behind the scenes people coming in. Okay. There's potential for a lot of excess food. So we can make sure that doesn't go to waste, and then it'll get sent to our neighbors.
So Second Helpings does an awesome job with community partnerships. Sounds like you just got a lot of hands in there. So you want to work with us about rescuing the food that these kids don't want?
Right.
they're so. I tried to ask. Oh, Luke's great at asking questions. I said, ask a question about what we can do about the food that you guys throw away.
That's hilarious.
And he couldn't figure out a way to word it, I think, without being condescending to the kids. But one of the issues that we have is we'll give these kids peanut butter and jelly sandwich boxes, where it's got an Uncrustable, and then it's got the craisins, and it's got the carrots. And the kids will take out the peanut butter and jelly and try to throw away the other two. And I'm like, guys, you can't do that. Somebody else needs those. They go, who around here needs it? I was like, I need somebody to ask that question so that you can tell them some of their options, or at least just say, hey, there's a lot of people who do want those. They said, nobody wants carrots. Who wants carrots?
Right.
You got somebody in your organization that wants carrots?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we chop a lot of veggies because every meal we're making is going to have some vegetable. Okay. Usually dairy, some protein. Sure. Some starch, that could be a sandwich. That could be, we do a lot of pasta and rice, that kind of one pot style meals that gets everything all in there. So we can definitely use carrots. Absolutely.
Okay. We'll be another partner for you. Purdue Polytechnic and Second Helpings.
Our top carrot donor.
Tag team. Yes. All right. And craisins. Why not? If the kids aren't, we want to take advantage of all of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you work with Four Birds Bakery?
I don't know.
I'm always fascinated by them because I love the people who run it, where every time I go to another restaurant, there's Four Birds Bakery cookies.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. And I've met them multiple times. I'm like, you guys are the best marketers in all of Indianapolis.
Yeah. I don't know. On the record, I don't know officially, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do. That makes
they're
me
a powerhouse in Indianapolis.
Yeah. Delicious also.
Yes.
Yeah,
those
really,
cookies
really good.
I was a member of their test kitchen. Okay. Can I ask these questions?
I'm ready.
All right. Here you go. Number 1, how long have you lived in Indy?
I moved here in 2015.
Where'd you say you were from before that?
Kentucky.
That's right. We're at in Kentucky. Oh, you said
I grew
University
up
of Transylvania.
Yeah, I grew up in Florence in northern Kentucky, just outside of Cincinnati. And then I went to college at Transylvania University, which is in Lexington, Kentucky. So right down the road from University of Kentucky.
Oh, right on. Are you a Justified fan?
I don't know that I've watched that.
Set in Lexington.
I must have missed that.
Oh, wow. Great show.
I need to start a list of things to do when I leave.
Timothy Oliphant is
amazing.
Guy. His nickname is Timothy Oli Fantastic. That was Kevin Smith gave to him. Number 2, what's your favorite spot downtown?
I live in Bates Hendricks. That neighborhood, and so I love Fountain Square. I don't know if that's specific enough, or are you asking for a restaurant or a park or a specific place?
I have number 3 is what's your favorite neighborhood. So if you want to say Fountain Square for your favorite neighborhood,
I'll say Bates Hendricks for my favorite neighborhood since that's where I actually live.
And 2 is we'll say your favorite spot is just Fountain Square as a whole.
Yeah, I love to just if I have an empty afternoon on the weekend, or when the weather is so nice, that's what I want to do. Just walk around Fountain Square. Lots of great shops and restaurants, and just it's a good vibe.
Yeah, you walk to Bobaconte Coffee and get yourself something there.
Absolutely.
You go to Amelia's for some bread. And
yeah, absolutely.
Have you been to Kuma's Corner over there?
Yes.
Yeah, I got a burger that was like a mountain.
Yes.
4, what is the best seasonal activity in Indianapolis?
You mean for right now, for in the winter?
You can pick any season that you want.
Gosh.
So if you can name multiple seasons if you can't choose, but some people are, I love autumn the most, so I'm gonna pick an autumnal activity.
I'm gonna say the farmers market for multiple seasons.
Yeah,
Like in the
okay.
winter,
Real bummer, the farmers markets in the winter.
It's not nothing, but the winter farmers market at the AMP, I think
Okay.
I'm
I'll see
like,
you over there. I go there sometimes.
As far as like what is available in the winter, I'm always surprised that like there are veggies to get. You know, it's not the same as in the summer, but I like to go there in the winter, and then spring and summer, the farmers market at Garfield Park. I love.
How come I've never? Maybe I have seen you over
Yeah,
there.
maybe.
We used to go to the Garfield Park Farmers
so
Market
funny.
every weekend.
It's a small town, yeah.
Then we tried to AMP, and they got some good. The music. You sit
Sure.
down and listen to music, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sometimes it depends on the week.
Okay,
Or the time of
guess
year, I think, but-
I'm a sweetaholic too, so I feel like the winter one doesn't have nearly as many like cookies and pies.
That's
and
true. But the
chocolate.
AMP has Circle City Sweets that it's not
Yeah,
officially
that's
part of
true.
the farmers market, but
Sure.
they're open when the farmers market is open. So
Yeah,
they
I
have
get
good
some like
stuff.
chocolate dipped strawberries there, and like chocolate turtles and stuff like
Yeah.
that. 5. Where should every tourist go at least once?
Oh, in Indy, let's see.
You're pretty good with your work around Lucas Oil too. I feel like a lot of tourists hang out there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like seeing a sports game is good. I might say the Children's Museum. I haven't been there
That's
in
a
a
good
long
one.
time, but pretty incredible.
It's the biggest children's museum in the world.
In the world?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I think so. Don't
Yeah.
quote me. Might be just the country, but I think it's the world. That's tough. Somebody's
Yeah.
got to put the claim to that, I guess. I don't know. It's pretty good, though.
Yeah.
Number 6, what is a great date and or friend group activity in Indianapolis?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I'll say when we have family or friends visiting from out of town, Fountain Square in general is one thing that we'll always do. We might pick a restaurant, but then, just kind of, there's lots of little shops to look at. I think that I love a date with an activity, so it's not just like sitting and coming up with things to talk about, but like doing something together, I think is good for a date or friends. I think we got a lot of great parks. I think that's great for like a little hike or
Yes.
some nature. I think also great date.
You're living
also
my
good.
life, apparently. Man, Turkey Run State Park
Beautiful.
is just amazing.
Yeah.
Have you been to Pen and Beach Candle Company?
No, I've been to a
date.
place in Cincinnati that is kind of a similar, like build your
Okay.
own candle. That's a
enough.
great activity. I think that can be really
Expensive.
fun.
Wow,
Sure.
it was like $90 yesterday, and I went. That's the
that's
third
steep.
time I've gone. Good one though.
Yeah, I'm sure the candle smelled great though that you made.
I think I messed up. I
Uh-oh.
put too much baked bread. It was
Too strong.
It was apples and pistachios and baked bread, and I called it a charcuterie board.
On paper, that sounds delicious.
I put too much bread in there. The bread was overpowering it.
Fair. But would be a great activity. Like no matter how it goes, like gives you something to
Yeah,
talk
I
about.
had fun. You could buy a
Yeah.
drink at the same. They
Yeah.
serve drinks and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
that's a
I had
good one.
Some kombucha.
Yeah.
Okay, this is number 7 is a rapid fire, so this is 5. It's the best foods of the Indianapolis area. So we'll start with best pizza.
King Dough.
That's a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I could see that. Yeah. Best burger.
I think I'm gonna say Kuma's. Maybe
You're-
it's the recency we just talked about, but that is sounding real good.
Okay, you're not. These might be the best answers I've ever received. One dude just giving me like fast food restaurants. So you can't say McDonald's.
Right.
Best taco. That's a hard one.
That is hard. I think Indy has a ton of great choices. Personally, I love La Margarita. Can you tell that I'm in Fountain Square all the time?
Yeah, those nachos are out of this world. Best chicken sandwich or pork tenderloin?
I just keep defaulting to Fountain Square. I'm going to say Hot Boys. Have you been there in
Yes,
Fountain
of
Square?
course.
Like
I
good-
lived in Fountain Square. I just moved.
Oh,
so
okay.
You're
okay.
singing all my greatest
yeah.
hits.
Yeah. I do feel like Hot Boys, like you got to ask some questions to get the right heat level. So I've
Correct,
definitely, I
yes.
think that's true for spicy food in general. I've definitely ordered too high.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
because you could always add more if it's
They
not
do.
enough, but it's hard to, you can't really go back down.
That's the only place that does like mild plus,
Mild plus,
medium,
yeah, I
medium
love it.
plus,
I
hot,
love
hot plus.
it.
And the first time I went, I was kind of, I was like, all right, well, I'll be conservative and just say, give me the mild plus. And I said, okay, I can handle much.
Yeah.
I was so proud of myself.
Yeah.
Come on,
Really
come on,
brave.
come a long way. Have you been a working man's friend?
No, I haven't.
Okay, that
It's next on my list.
I thought their burger would be amazing, and it was. Their pork tenderloin I liked even
Okay.
more. It's
Okay.
cash only though.
Okay.
But you know,
That's a
like
good tip. Yeah.
everyone. But I don't think it's on there. Okay, well it is. Last one, best dessert.
Oh, best dessert. I love ice cream, so I might say Square Scoop, and we're just gonna keep it on
Fountain
Virginia
Square.
Avenue.
I'm an
yeah.
ice cream. You're living my life.
I do love. We just talked about Circle City Sweets. They have a great variety of all
Ice
kinds
cream?
of dessert.
They have
No,
ice
not. I
cream?
don't think they do ice cream, but just desserts in general. Like they have some like breakfast kind of pastries, but desserts, cookies, macarons, all kinds of
I
stuff.
thought maybe because I said cash only, and what comes to mind is Long's Bakery.
Yep,
with
that
the
when you
donuts.
said cash only, that
That's-
was my first apartment when I moved here was in Speedway.
Oh, okay, so you were going there all the
Oh,
time.
delicious. Yeah.
I like a lot more donuts than Long's, though. People
Sure.
always say Long's Donuts. I said, man, Donuts and Dragons was great. There's a lot of good
I
donut
never
places.
went there. I mean, I
Panda?
don't know that I've had a bad donut. You know, even if
Yeah.
it's not like tier, like if it's a plain, like a
Parlor's
bad
pretty
donut
good.
can still be delicious.
That's
I
true.
feel the same for pizza.
Have
Yeah.
you had, and I hope Wes is listening to this, you love ice cream. I'm
Mm-hmm.
an ice cream connoisseur. Have you been to Circle's Ice Cream, or have you had it?
I don't know that I have. Where is that?
It's a one-man business. Old Wes, sometimes you see him in there. He has little like freezers around the city, and I think about 8 or 9 locations.
Oh, cool.
Fountain Square is La Turquetti's. He has
Oh, okay.
He has a freezer
Yes,
in there.
okay. I have seen that. I
You
think
go
I
in
have
there,
gotten it. Yeah, I
you
think
go in there, you
I,
scan it, you get your ice cream, you get out.
I think Amelia's has one too. Yeah, I have had that.
Oh, I don't know if Amelia's is specifically Circles. I think Amelia's
Maybe
has
they have
their
something
own
else.
brand. But if you've been to Metazoa Brewing over there too, they have a Circles. And I used to live next door, and I never went in to get a drink,
Ooh.
but I would go in just to,
To get
the ice cream
and head out.
And,
yeah.
and it's wow, this guy makes some. It's very layered ice cream. So if
Nice.
it's what was like say if it's chocolate chip cookie dough, which he doesn't have a chocolate chip cookie dough flavor, but he will like I think it's cookies and milk, and it has
Okay.
a layer of just lots of cookies and then ice cream and then another
Milk.
layer.
Okay.
And it's incredible.
making me hungry.
Howdy's ice cream is pretty good downtown too.
Okay.
Next to
I haven't been
Needler's.
there either. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that one does like some good. Look them up. They do some good. I don't know if they're a nonprofit, but they just do a lot
Community
of good for the
stuff.
community.
Yeah, that's
They're
awesome.
pretty good. Square Scoop's good.
Mm-hmm.
What's the one in Irvington? Liftoff.
Okay. I've
They
heard of
do
that,
stuff
yeah.
for aviation for kids. That's a good one too.
That's cool.
So
That's fun.
I like
Yeah, I love Nicey Treat. They have a couple of spots with like
Yes,
all
they're
different kinds of
never open.
popsicles.
The one next to Amelia's. Has it ever
Yeah,
been open?
I
when you
think
went
it's
there?
kind of seasonal, maybe just in the summer.
I
I guess.
Okay, maybe.
And they have like a little cart that they do like farmers markets or events and stuff sometimes, but I bet it's seasonal.
Do you have any lingering childhood trauma from your favorite ice cream places as a kid being closed every other time of the year except for summer? I do. As another from one ice cream lover to another.
Yeah, I don't know that we went out for ice cream as often. Like we would like get it at the grocery store maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
know, like-
my dad always said that like he would always ask. Like, he was a very very dad thing to just like ask a waiter or someone like
Got ice
in the
cream?
service industry to just like embarrassingly talk to a lot. But like he always asked them like, in January, do your sales go down? Like, does anybody come in, or are
funny.
people like, even if it's cold, like a day like today, like it's not hot, but it's warm enough that like ice cream is starting to sound a little better. Or as soon as you go inside, you're in heat. Ice cream maybe always.
Is that so?
Sells
Are you ice cream all year?
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
yeah,
I got
love
to.
it. This is sounding really good. I think I'm gonna have to get ice cream on
Circle's
the way
ice
back.
cream.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I say that because I think about all my favorite ice cream places, and they're all like staffed by high school, college kids. Those little summer jobs. And
Totally.
you stop at all those places are great. I've never been to a place that, oh yeah, we're just open for the summer with the kids, the high school, college kids. The ice cream's always amazing. I have no idea why that is, but
Yeah.
And then okay, question 8. What is your favorite Indianapolis experience?
Experience.
These aren't as rapid fire as I usually. I like to talk about them.
Yeah, they're just. I feel like I'll have like for every question I have to have like 5 things come into my head. I feel
That's
like there
good.
are
I
lots
wanna
of
hear 'em all.
choices. Yeah. Indie experience. I
Could just be a one-off.
Yeah, let's see. I think a sports game is fun. Newfields is beautiful, and like the art museum.
Yes.
That's a good,
Okay.
like lots of different seasons. Like they have the winter lights with all the Christmas lights and stuff outside.
Oh, wow.
You can walk around the grounds, and I think they have multiple people who are full-time like gardeners there. Like in the spring and the summer, have all kinds of beautiful flowers and plants, and you can
wow.
just walk around there. The art museum is really fun. That might be what
Garfield
I'll
Park.
say.
I mean, a farmer's market that's not really an experience. That's a recurring
Yes,
event,
yeah.
but
I'm
it
trying to
can
think
be.
of something that's more of an occasion.
Chris Kindle Market's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, that's
That's a good
beautiful.
one.
Since I live downtown, I haven't been in Carmel a ton, but I'm so curious. Like outside of the Chris Kindle Market, like what else happens in that space? Like that seems like a great space for a farmer's market.
Oh,
or
I have
something.
no
Like what
idea.
else happens there during the year?
Only ever been there for the Chris Kindle
Same.
Market. Number 9. This is an easy one. Who's making Indianapolis a better place?
Second helping.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm always inspired by what's happening at Second Helpings, but then all the different partner organizations that we work with every day. I think it's a really collaborative effort, and I think that's really important.
My favorite thing that Second Helpings does is obviously the Super Bowl, but that's only my only experience. What would you say is the best experience? What is the best thing Second Helpings does? One specific event, one specific fundraiser, one specific, because I know you do great things with collecting all the food all year round,
Sure.
but is there one big event that is your, no pun intended, Super Bowl?
That's my personal favorite.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I think my favorite is a kind of project, kind of an event, kind of a campaign we've started doing with Wish TV.
Okay.
In June, and it's called the Great 8 for Wish TV 8, Great Pasta Push.
Oh, I love it.
And so that has grown into like a citywide pasta and fund drive for Second Helpings.
Okay.
And I just get to talk about spaghetti all day, and we get to spend time like making pasta puns and talking about, I mean, I love spaghetti's my favorite food. So that could be
that's a
part of
good
it, that
one.
I just love pasta.
What
but
time of the year is this?
it's in June.
Okay.
Yeah, and the reason we started doing it in June is we have a lot of like schools that do pasta drives, or I think a lot of organizations think about doing a food drive in the winter around the holidays, like during the giving season, which is great. But sometimes June or the summer is about the time when we might be running low on things like pasta, and so that has
Okay.
really filled an important gap for our operations, because we're using more than 1,000 pounds of pasta every week.
Do you find that there is a cycle year-round to what you're able to do, for example, in the summer versus the winter, where you're like, oh, these are about to be the hardest months for us coming up, or, oh, this is the dead time for us where not a lot's going on?
You mean like in terms of food that we're rescuing, or
Yeah,
events?
sure. Just
or-
when's Second Helpings downtime, I guess? Or are you like, oh no, we got programs all year round and we push hard all year round?
Sure. I mean, I think that's the answer. I mean, there isn't like a downtime
That's good.
for hunger.
That's
you know
good.
what I mean?
Sure.
I mean, like
Hunger doesn't take a
we're-
day off.
Right. I mean, we are serving meals. We are delivering meals and rescuing food throughout the year.
Yeah.
Now, there is a lot of research to say that need for food increases in the winter.
Sure.
For a variety of reasons. So I think the winter is probably a really busy time for every piece of our operations. Like that is the giving season. So our development team is really busy. Requests for food certainly go up. Groups doing food drives that we are working with, and either trying to bring them in to bring the food, or going to pick up, their church canned food drive or whatever. That picks
Okay.
up in the winter. So relatively the summer is quieter, but it's never like, oh, there's nothing to do, no one needs
Okay.
food today,
I think why I asked that question is, did you ever see How I Met Your Mother?
Of course.
Where they went to go, oh, we're going to go to a food pantry at Thanksgiving. And they were just like, we don't need people on Thanksgiving. We got
Totally.
enough help. And is that true?
I mean, Second Helpings is not open on Thanksgiving
Okay.
or Christmas. We do get a lot of calls, like, oh, my family wants to volunteer on a holiday. And, like, that
We
is
don't need
great.
it.
All for it. And we certainly can, we'll direct people to places we work with that are serving a meal on those days. But sometimes we really want to say, a day that's not on the calendar is when we could really use you,
Sure.
And sometimes that can be a challenge of, that's a year-long, hunger is a year-long thing.
Yeah,
So even
wow.
if it's not in your coming across your mind, like, we need help all through the year,
Okay.
you know?
I'll help you guys make a T-shirt that says "Hunger doesn't take a day
Oof.
off." Question 10: What's an opportunity your work has provided you in Indianapolis that you might not have done?
I love that question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think getting interviewed by high schoolers for a podcast is so cool. I mean, getting opportunities to just visit and learn about all different organizations all across the city, you know, depending on where I might have worked, they might be very contained or not as, I don't want to say not collaborative, but part of my job is kind of connecting the dots like we talked about earlier. So I really like that. I mean, just the random stuff that comes up, like rescuing from something like a Colts game, or a few weeks ago we tagged along with our food rescue team because there was a conference at a hotel downtown, and it was for Murphy USA, a gas station company. I think it's the gas stations at Walmart's, and it was like gas station managers from all across the country, you know, coming in for their national conference. And as part of their conference, they did a construction, and it was like a team building thing that they brought in, you know, canned goods or food items that you can get at the gas station and make some sort of art with it. And that was the competition. But then they're like, okay, what do we do with this food? We want it to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So they called us. So we tagged along, and originally we wanted to make a time-lapse video that we could share of building these, amazing things. When we got there, like, oh, we're ahead of schedule, so it's already done. I've never heard of a conference going so far ahead of a schedule.
That's cool.
But we just, like, spent the afternoon, like, packing up all of the food that they, you know, made their constructions out of. So just, I mean, the random weird connections, like, around town, because I think food brings everybody together. Like, everybody can relate to how important food is. So that just has created all kinds of opportunities to, I don't know, just connect more deeply across Indianapolis than I had before. Since I'm not from here, I think I'm learning new stuff about neighborhoods or organizations or just things about Indy all the time.
I think that's what I love about this job, but also just jobs like that in general, where you're faced with all these creative problems.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, we have an issue that you probably never heard before. How can you help us solve this problem?
Right. I love the variety. Like, I am not someone that I think would thrive in a job where you're doing, like, the same task all day, every day.
Yeah.
Some people love that.
It can very quickly, teaching can become that if you get in the wrong job.
Yeah, I think a lot of jobs can become like that over time. But I love to seek out variety. Like, if it's a quieter week, I love to, like, let me come along with you while you deliver meals, and I can help deliver them, but also that's fun content, you know, for our Instagram story or something like that. But I love the variety just all across the job.
I imagine some people might not be suited for that too, right?
Sure.
It's like, I don't know what to expect on Monday, so I'm anxious because I don't know what problems they're going to face.
Totally.
But for me, I'm like, all right,
Bring it on.
I come in with no stress because I was like, well, I don't have a plan yet because I don't know what I'm going to be doing.
But then if you don't have a plan, it can fall apart, you know?
That's true. That's a good point. I could rapidly put a plan together.
That's
And
right,
you need
yeah.
both. I feel like, you know, you and I have talked about all the different jobs that you've done in your career, like babysitting. Yeah, sometimes it has to be very structured, and that could be a good thing. Hey, I know bedtime's at 8, so.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Emily, thank you so much for coming in today and joining us. Is there anything you want to talk about before we let you go?
I don't know that I can think of anything we haven't talked about. This has been so fun. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I always love talking about second helpings, so this has been fun to just talk about life outside of that too. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.